What if Dooku started a Jedi civil war? This is one I really enjoyed writing, but one that I do acknowledge also stretches our perception of some characters, so hope you guys enjoy, let's have fun with it, and let's get right into it. Our story begins on Coruscant in the Jedi Temple. Count Dooku, who left the Order a while back, was here to pay his old friends a visit. But in reality, Dooku was here to complete the bidding of his new master. He deleted Kamino from the Jedi archives, then wandered through the temple, hearing more and more whispers of Sith. Dooku asked the Jedi what was going on, and they informed him that Qui-Gon told the Council that he saw a Sith, and he was just sent back to Naboo. Dooku asked which masters went with him to deal with this potential Sith, but the Jedi looked confused, saying that only Obi-Wan went with him, as the Sith have been extinct for a millennia. Sure, rumors of dark side users have come around over the last 100 years or so, but no one really thinks the Sith could have returned. This made Dooku furious. His final student, one of his greatest friends, Qui-Gon, was just sent to Naboo with only his Padawan because the Council was too arrogant to believe in this rising darkness. Dooku knew about the Sith. He knew the Chancellor was a Sith, and yet the Jedi didn't even believe they could be on Naboo without them knowing. They're all fools, Dooku thought, and he was working closely with Palpatine lately, but now, more than ever, he wanted to just show the Jedi how stupid they truly are. Dooku knew the Sith had been around at least the last 100 years. The Jedi didn't even realize their ancient enemy was now controlling them in the Senate. Dooku decided he didn't want to be a Sith any longer. He wanted to be a Jedi. But it was time that a new order begin. He saw how lost these Jedi were and decided he could make it better. But first, he had something to take care of. He flew his ship over to Palpatine's apartment. Palpatine had become arrogant recently, believing himself to be all-powerful after killing his master, Darth Plagueis. So, when Dooku entered his apartment, Palpatine believed himself to be completely safe. But Dooku immediately was able to slice through Palpatine's spine to kill him. And Dooku dragged his body out of the window, where his ship was waiting, then flew to Naboo. Most of the day would pass by, and soon enough Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi were dueling with Darth Maul. He was extremely powerful, and they battled across the bridge until Qui-Gon came to a halt, sensing Dooku's arrival. This pause forced Obi-Wan to be alone with Maul, as the two of them moved inside of the red ray shields. Dooku ran to Qui-Gon, and they watched together behind the ray shields, as Maul was now dueling Kenobi alone. Suddenly, Maul was able to cut through Kenobi's saber, kicking him to the far wall, then choking him to death before throwing the Padawan down the sinkhole. Qui-Gon yelled out in horror. He loved Obi-Wan. And now, just like that, he was gone. The ray shield opened, and something awakened in Qui-Gon as he ran through with Dooku, and the two of them quickly defeated Maul, with both of them touching the dark side. Once Maul was quickly defeated, Qui-Gon fell to his knees, saying that he should have been powerful enough to save him. Dooku put a hand on Qui-Gon's shoulder, telling his friend this is not his fault. The Sith have returned, and the Jedi were too blinded by their own arrogance to truly approach the situation with caution. They sent Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan alone. Dooku knelt next to Qui-Gon, telling him this should be a lesson. It's time for a new era of the Jedi to begin. Qui-Gon agreed. He respected the Council, but he saw now that they were lost. He would not follow these Jedi into extinction. So he walked with Dooku, and they both got into Dooku's ship, as Qui-Gon quickly saw the body of Chancellor Palpatine. Dooku told Qui-Gon to sit, and he will explain everything as they head back to Coruscant. Qui-Gon organized for Anakin to return with Padme eventually, and so Dooku did explain everything to him leaving the Order, then being approached by Palpatine, his fall to the dark side, Kamino, the clones, and ultimately deciding to turn back to the Jedi, killing Palpatine before his plans could ever truly begin. Qui-Gon didn't like it, but he accepted now that the Jedi Council was far too gone to be fixed, and indeed, a new sect of Jedi must begin. And so back on Coruscant, Dooku and Qui-Gon would walk through the temple halls together, entering the elevator to the Council, and upon reaching the Council, everyone except Yaddle was in attendance. She just gave up her seat, for good. The Council sat here as if nothing has changed, as if the galaxy was the same as it was yesterday, and Yoda told Qui-Gon that he is sorry about Obi-Wan, as now he is part of the Cosmic Force. Qui-Gon looked around the Council, looking at every single member, the pain of Obi-Wan's death firmly in his mind, as he yelled out that Obi-Wan's blood is on the Council's hands. He warned them about the Sith. Dooku spent years warning the Council of the rising darkness, and what did the Jedi do? they sat atop the Coruscant Temple, serving the greedy, corrupt senators. Dooku stepped forward, saying that this era of the Jedi is marked by a failure to listen and a failure to act. And the elevator doors reopened as 2 temple guards brought in the body of Palpatine, just as Dooku requested. The council collectively gasped in shock, and Windu frantically asked what was going on. Dooku reached into Palpatine's robes, pulling out 2 red blades, igniting them for everyone to see, and he yelled out that this council didn't even believe the Sith could be alive, and yet the Sith rose to the role of Chancellor under their noses. Dooku said he did what he had to do, and now he and Qui-Gon will be starting a new Jedi Order. Dooku and Qui-Gon would leave the council and begin walking the halls, determined to start a new order. When Mace Windu called out to them, the council members followed them down. Windu said that as Master of the Order, he cannot allow a new order to begin without approval from the Republic. The Jedi and the Republic have long-standing treaties to work together. They are a partnership, and a new order would cause political chaos throughout the galaxy. Dooku said they don't care about the Republic. They're going to serve the people of the galaxy, not the senators. The Outer Rim, the Mid-Rim, the Core, whoever needs their help will receive it. They turned to leave, but suddenly they were halted by the ignition of a lightsaber. Mace Windu just ignited his blade. In Windu's mind, the Republic that he loved so much was beginning to fall apart in the blink of an eye. A Sith just rose to Chancellorship. The last thing the Republic needs is the Jedi Order being ripped apart as well. He could not let Dooku and Qui-Gon do this. He had no intent to hurt or kill them. This was more to show he means what he is saying. But Dooku had enough. He didn't recognize the Jedi at all anymore. He ignited his own blue blade, telling Windu that a new order is beginning. If he wants to stop it from happening, he is welcome to try. At least 100 Jedi in the temple were now watching, as Dooku and Windu approached each other, and when they were within a few yards, Windu told Dooku once again to stand down. Dooku declined, and so Windu said that in the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, he is under arrest for breaking the treaty between the Jedi and the Senate. But then, something else happened. Master Yaddle stepped in front of Dooku, followed by Plo Koon, Qui-Gon, Apple Rancis, and Evan Peel. This core group told Windu that he is wrong. But now, a group of Jedi stepped in front of Windu, including Depa Billaba, Sazitin, Eathkoth, and Ki-Adi-Mundi. Dooku noticed that Mundi was particularly uncomfortable, so Dooku touched a bit of a dark side trick to enter Mundi's mind, and almost immediately Dooku saw the truth. Mundi learned of a rising darkness almost 100 years ago, and he hid it from everyone. Dooku yelled out this revelation to everyone watching, and Mundi yelled out that he is lying, that Dooku has joined the dark side. The hundreds of Jedi were all mentally picking sides now, Windu and Mundi, or Dooku and Qui-Gon. Everyone noticed that Yoda's calming presence was gone, as the Grand Master had gone to the Senate before all of this chaos broke out to inform the Senate of Palpatine's death and him being a Sith. Time stood still in the temple until one Jedi, a Padawan named Siri Tachi, turned the corner and ignited her purple blade. With tears in her eyes, she yelled at Mundi that he knew, and he didn't say anything, and now Obi-Wan is dead. Tachi and Obi-Wan were very close, and clearly Tachi formed an attachment. So suddenly, it began. Tachi leapt across the ancient floor, swinging at Mundi as the Jedi Master had to ignite his blade to block it. Tachi cut through Mundi's beard, just missing him, and so Mundi sidestepped and stabbed her through the gut. Everyone was in shock as Mundi looked up, saying that he didn't have a choice as Tachi fell to the floor, dead. And it began. Her master, Adi Gallia, ran at Mundi and everything broke loose. Dooku had to run at Windu, Qui-Gon at Sazitin, Plo Koon to Depa Billaba, Evan Peel and Yaddle to Eathkoth. The sounds of lightsabers clashing were deafening through the temple. Jedi all throughout the main hall choosing sides, jumping into battle, as blue, green, yellow, and purple blades carved through the air. This wasn't a battle to the death, it was more so just a sudden eruption, as the Jedi Order was splintered into 2 halves. No one wanted to kill another Jedi, it wasn't their way, but through the sounds of lightsabers clashing, everyone heard one saber cut into flesh. Evan Peel killed Eathkoth. Koth's body fell to the floor, and now the battle restarted, with both sides fighting to at least disarm their opponent, if not worse. Many older masters like Yarael Poof, Jocasta Nu, and Terras Nube were gathering as many younglings and Padawans as they could, bringing them outside the temple and down the stairs. They were protecting those who could not fight. Hundreds of Jedi were guided down the temple stairs as the battle inside continued. As Yarael Poof re-entered after the younglings and many Padawans were safe, he saw the horror. Every second, another Jedi fell to the ground, dead or injured it seemed. The temple itself bore the scars of this conflict. Statues of ancient Jedi heroes were used as cover, and they began to topple to the ground as Jedi were fighting through them. Holocrons and ancient scrolls were scattered as some Jedi fought into the archives. The temple was shrouded in darkness, as if the death of the two Sith echoed around the galaxy, and the darkness now filled the hearts of these Jedi. Relics of knowledge and history trampled under the foot of the heat of battle. The sound of clashing lightsabers echoed through the halls, mixing with the shouts of cries of pain. The central hall was the heart of all of the conflict. Dooku and Windu met in the center, their blades locked together in a display of power. Neither of them wanted this, but they couldn't stop it now. Around them, Jedi were pairing off, each duel a life or death struggle. Qui-Gon now faced off against Mundi, their blades a blur of green and blue. Plo Koon was taking on Saesee Tiin, old friends reluctantly fighting for what they saw as right. Yaddle and Depa Billaba clashed their sabers, their different styles creating a dance of light. Jedi were stepping over the bodies of their fallen friends, all of them thinking they were doing what was right. The battle raged on, neither side willing to yield, and the Force itself seemed to tremble under the weight of so many powerful beings in this conflict. The temple was being ripped apart. Windu kicked Dooku to the ground. Mundi disarmed Qui-Gon. Both of them were going to move in to finish this, when suddenly Grandmaster Yoda jumped down from the ceiling of the temple, landing in the center of everyone, and sending a giant Force wave through the main hall. Every single Jedi was thrown off of their feet, sprawling across the ground, and now only Yoda was left standing. Yoda now used the Jedi intercom system to speak, telling everyone in here they have failed as an order. The galaxy has been overtaken by the dark side, and now it has taken over the temple. He told Dooku, and anyone who fought with Dooku, to leave immediately. This fight was over. They're exiled to go create their own order, while Windu and anyone who fought with him is to stay here and rebuild. This was one of the darkest days in the history of the Jedi Order, and Yoda was allowing this new sect to just leave. Despite the treaties with the Republic, it didn't matter anymore. This death was unnecessary. So Dooku and his 100 allies would leave, taking a transport out of Coruscant, going to the planet Jedha, home of an ancient temple for those who worship the Force, and now home of this new Jedi Order in the mid-rim of the galaxy. In the Coruscant temple, Yoda would soon stand alone on a balcony, overlooking the terrible destruction. He left for an hour to bring the news of Palpatine to the Senate, and Dooku did this. He felt like a complete failure, but he had to let these feelings go, as the Jedi began recovering the body of those that died and bringing them to the funeral area. It would be a long, long night of mourning. From here, Dooku and Qui-Gon would begin establishing their new order on Jedha. Everyone that went with them felt guilty and shameful for what happened in the temple, but perhaps it had to happen in order for this new sect of Jedi to finally begin. Masters Plo Koon, Yaddle, Appa Rensis, and Adi Gallia were leading this Jedi Order into this ancient temple, as Qui-Gon and Dooku soon spoke to the locals, telling them the Jedi were coming here. The next few months for the new Jedi Order would be spent with them being peacekeepers, not for the Republic, but for the people of the galaxy. Any people, whether they were in the Republic or not. Dooku shut down the cloning on Kamino, and instead had his efforts with the new Jedi focus heavily on battling crime, with a heavy emphasis on slavery. After the battle in the temple, Qui-Gon would get into contact with Padme, and she managed to get Anakin to Jedha. Anakin was the youngest Jedi in the New Order, as no younglings were allowed to follow them here. In time, they would bring Force sensitives here, but for now, the Order was around 1,000 members strong of Knights and Masters, as more and more Jedi left Coruscant to join this new Order. Anakin's first ever mission would be with Qui-Gon as they freed Shmi on Tatooine by using aggressive negotiations. This would become more and more common around the Outer Rim and Mid-Rim as the Jedi were helping the people, choosing to once more spread into the Outer Rim. A sort of beacon was built so citizens could contact these Jedi for help, and for these few months, there was peace between the two Jedi factions. Yoda, Windu, and the Republic Jedi would continue to serve the Senate, while Dooku, Qui-Gon, and the new Jedi were responding to calls for help for anyone in need. It was working well, until the corruption in the Senate once more grew to a terrible point. As the new Jedi worked to free slaves and fight this war on crime, Jabba the Hutt and the other leaders of the Hutt clan contacted new Chancellor Ainley Team, the replacement for Palpatine. The Hutts and the Republic had a mutual agreement. The Jedi stay out of the Outer Rim that Jabba rules, and in return, the Hutts keep their crime organizations out of the Republic. Jabba warned Chancellor Team that if the Jedi are not removed from the Outer Rim, then the Hutts will spread their influence into the core worlds, starting with Coruscant. Chancellor Team told Jabba he will do what he can, and the call was ended as Ainley Team called members of the Jedi Council to his office. He would soon speak to Yoda, Mundi, Windu, and Depa Billaba about this new Jedi Order. He would tell the Jedi it cannot persist any longer. There are long-standing treaties that the Jedi are breaking in the Outer Rim. If all of this persists, it will mean all-out war for the Republic against the crime factions of the Outer Rim. Chancellor Team begged the Coruscant Jedi to get this new Jedi Order to stand down, return to the Republic. Mace Windu shook his head, saying that they tried once, and it resulted in horrors for the entire Jedi Order. That day in the temple cannot be repeated. This new order will not stand down easily. Chancellor Team sighed, saying that if the Jedi cannot convince this new order to return to Coruscant, then they will have to be forcefully removed from the Outer Rim by the Republic. Windu, Depa, and Yoda all agreed they did not want more violence, but Mundi said that he understands. These rogue Jedi are hurting the galaxy, and if war is a possibility, then they must be stopped. Windu agreed that no one wants war, but these Jedi are helping countless people suffering under Outer Rim crime organizations. Ainley Team told the Jedi they must choose now between peace in the Republic by fighting these Jedi, or possible galactic war by siding with these Jedi. A choice must be made. Days later, on Jedha, a new council was formed that consisted of Dooku, Qui-Gon, Plo Koon, Shakti, and Yaddle. They recently spoke to Yoda and Windu, telling the Jedi that if they do not return to Coruscant, the Republic will fight them. And the new Jedi Order told Yoda and Windu they will not abandon the people of the Outer Rim. For the first time in centuries, the people of the galaxy truly are feeling the light of the Jedi. This is what the Jedi are meant to be, the new council thought. So, the meeting would end with no progress, and as tensions between the Galactic Senate and the Hutt crime organization increased, Chancellor Team had the Republic military of citizens put together after Palpatine's death prepare for battle. This civilian military mainly stayed on Coruscant and other nearby core worlds, but now they were headed to Jedha. This military was roughly 10,000 members strong. Most of their funding went into ships and heavy tanks. They were going to remove the Jedi from Jedha in order to secure peace for the galaxy. So around a day later, as the new order was going over calls for help throughout the mid and outer rims, a small rumbling could be felt throughout the temple, and without warning, a huge explosion suddenly rocked the Jedha temple. The new Jedi Council collectively ignited their lightsabers, running out to the temple overlook, and in front of them was a desert that stretched out as far as the eye could see, but this desert was suddenly full of Republic tanks and soldiers, and in front of the entire Republic military was Ki-Adi-Mundi, ready to lead this mission. He was the lone Jedi here. Mundi called up to the new Jedi Order, telling them to surrender, return to Coruscant immediately, and more needless death can be avoided. Around 800 Jedi of this new order were here, and Dooku looked down into the temple. Collectively, all of the Jedi raised their lightsabers. They were going to fight or die fighting today. This new order was so inspirational to all of the Jedi here, and to the people here, helping the people, and seeing the light of the Jedi return to the galaxy was amazing for all the Jedi of the new order. They could not just return to serving the Senate. So Dooku told Mundi he will have to kill them. And Mundi held a sad look, apologizing to Dooku for what is to come. And the 100 heavy Republic tanks aimed and began firing at the temple. Dooku and the council members ordered everyone to evacuate. They will find a new home in time, but for now they must fight for their survival. And the Jedi scattered out into the desert to fight this Republic military head-on, while the Jedha temple crumbled to the ground. Dooku, Qui-Gon, Plo, and Yaddle charged into battle against the heavy blaster fire, with Jedi dying behind them as they fought for the people. Some time ago, on Coruscant, Yoda and Windu were together after the military launched for Jedha. Yoda said that he fears they are in the wrong, but Windu said they have no choice. Jedi in the Outer Rim will mean war for the galaxy if the crime organizations choose to invade. But Yoda said the reason the crime organizations are ever thriving in the first place is because the Jedi abandoned the Outer Rim long ago, choosing to serve only the Republic. Perhaps the New Order is right. It's time for the Jedi Order to restart. And after a while, Yoda would convince Windu that they were in the wrong, and he ordered Windu to take a strike team to Jeddah with transports, rescue the Jedi. Yoda will take everyone else in the temple to Tython. They will meet there when it is over. Back on Jeddah, the gruesome battle continued as the Republic soldiers fired at the Jedi. The 800 Jedi here were cut in half rather quickly, as the ships and tanks moving around the Jedi were taking them down. As Plo Koon and Adi Gallia fought back to back, a tank hit the ground next to them. The two Jedi sprawled to the ground, and Plo was saddened to see that Gallia was dead. He reluctantly ran back into battle, wondering if today is the day this new order dies out. Dooku and Qui-Gon were working together, going from tank to tank, destroying them as quickly as they could. Soldiers and ships targeted them, but together they were able to stay alive. And as they moved for another heavy tank, a sudden force push sent both of them crashing to the ground, sabers clattering away in the sand. Mundi stood above them suddenly, as a group of ships aimed down at them. Mundi said he was sorry for all of this, but they were traitors to the Republic. But suddenly, Jedi starships emerged from the sky, firing through the Republic ships. The explosions distracted Mundi as the ships crashed into the sand, and Dooku cut through the leg of Mundi before cutting off his hands, but he did not kill the old Jedi Master, leaving him here in the middle of the battle. Windu and around 500 Jedi flew into battle, either jumping to the ground or flying starships to destroy the tanks and the ships. The losing fight was suddenly turned around as the Republic was completely caught off guard by the Jedi reinforcements. 4 large transports would land near the destroyed Jedha temple, and Windu jumped down to the ground, landing next to Dooku and Qui-Gon. Tensions were still high between the three of them, but now they shared a look of mutual understanding, and together they would guide the surviving Jedi to these transports while fighting off the Republic soldiers. As Republic tanks and ships were focused on the Jedi flying through the air, led by Saesee Tiin, the transports were being loaded up as quickly as possible. They would begin rising into the air as the large battle was abandoned, the Jedi fighter ships covering the transports as they rose high up into the air, their shields absorbing heavy tank and ship fire from below. Qui-Gon made sure Anakin was alright, and was proud to see the young Padawan helping the wounded Jedi settle in. The 4 transports would get to space, and the Jedi starships boarded them as they all jumped to hyperspace together for Tython, one of the earliest homes of the Jedi. The Republic would take a long time to find Tython, as they likely don't even have records of the Jedi being here, it was so long ago. And eventually, the Jedi Order would regather on Tython together, settling into their new temple. Around 8,000 members were here of all ages, and those who fought against each other in the temple would come together, each of them trying to forgive each other. Politics and the dark side corrupted the Jedi, but now the Order has come together as a group that is an enemy of the Republic, but a group that will fight for the people in the coming wars against the crime lords, if they must. Dooku and Grandmaster Yoda would walk to an ancient river together, and they would agree that the Jedi are at their best when serving the people of the galaxy. If this means they have to fight off the Republic, then so be it. The Jedi Order will rebuild and come together to serve the people of the galaxy, even if it means fighting a war with the Republic or the crime lords. Today, the Jedi vowed to protect all the people of the galaxy. And folks, that is where our story ends. I'm leaving it open for a part 2, should you guys enjoy this one, or should, I be inspired to just do a part 2. But yeah, I really did enjoy it. I don't think there's ever really a story that can have the Jedi doing an all-out war against each other. I think tensions could break, like they did in this one, to all of them kind of attack each other, but I don't think it can ever spread to, the Clone Wars style, where planets are fighting for Jedi control with 2 factions of Jedi. I think it'd be a battle, and then I think the Jedi would kind of leave each other alone. They're just like, the whole religion is based on kind of not fighting each other, so yeah, wanted to do the main battle in the temple, but from there peace kind of shows up as the Jedi choose to not fight each other, and ultimately, when they're faced with the reality that they're going to have to fight each other, the Jedi choose the Jedi. Ultimately, Mundi was the villain in this one. Haven't really done a Kieti Mundi, not turning to the dark side, but more so just being the villain, so wanted to do that one. Hope you guys enjoyed. The main thing here was that the Jedi and the crime families, or just the Republic, have treaties to keep the Jedi out of the Outer Rim, so violating those treaties would cause the Republic to get involved, so yeah. Had to get Palpatine out of here early just because he didn't serve the story, so sliced him through the back. Anyways, thanks for watching. Do you want a part 2? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.